Hi, this is Dan. Today we're going to continue our discussion about character and what are some of the building blocks of character. Well, conflict is the ultimate building block of character, and your characters will always be in conflict with a number of things. Now, some of these things can be used in combination. Some of them are often enough to be used singularly. So that's up to you as a creative to figure out how all of this can fit together for whatever project it is that you're working on. Number one, the biggest type of conflict that a character can have is conflict with their environment. If you look at most of the Avengers movies or most of the tentpole movies in general, the Star Wars movies, is you often have your characters in conflict with their environment. And what is their environment? Well, the environment can be anything from outer space to being in the middle of a city that's populated by nothing but criminals, such as in a Martin Scorsese movie, or a world of normies and you're the abnormal one. It can be it can be an area where the main character is an outsider and they're having to deal with inbred prejudice. It can be Tokyo in 1954 when all of a sudden, after rebuilding from World War II, you're suddenly attacked by Godzilla, and all of the terrors of the past near decades in the post-war situation is brought up to you again. So characters in conflict with their environment is a very, very big thing. And how they deal with it is even more important. Does the character give in to the environment? Well, I have to say, in most cases, if the character gives in to the environment, they are considered to be not a great character because part of the drama in most Western films, particularly American ones, is people who can overcome their circumstances, overcome their environments, and ultimately succeed. So, if a character is in conflict with their environment, remember the Howard Hawks maxim of torture the heroine. Doesn't matter if the heroine's male or female. It's what are you going to do with the things that surround them that constantly challenge them to have to overcome? And I don't mean that they become a 19 teens heroine who gets tied to the railroad tracks by a Snidely Whiplash type character. I'm meaning that how do they use their own internal pluck in order to succeed? Now, the second type of conflict is characters who are in conflict with other characters. Now, this is the basis for almost all sitcoms. After all, what is one of the main reasons we watch a sitcom? Well, maybe prior to 1970, the main reason we watched sitcoms was to watch our favorite characters getting caught up in a sometimes absolutely ridiculous situation and fighting their way out of it. But from 1970 forward, with the introduction of James L. Brooks's The Mary Tyler Moore Show, we took on a whole different way of doing sitcoms. And that was, instead of there being a situation, Lucy loses a lottery ticket, Lucy and Ethel battle Fred and Ricky about who gossips more. Instead of that, you're having people fussing over their own reactions to a given situation, such as, oh my God, Chuckles the Clown has been killed in a freak accident. How does everyone react to that? Well, some of them find it funny as a way to get over their stress. Mary doesn't. She's taking it too seriously until the actual funeral where she finds herself laughing. So we're seeing within that sitcom that they interacted with each other. But look at a lot of dramas. A lot of dramas are about almost violent conflicts between people, such as the movie that was really responsible for the destruction of the production code, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which presented Hollywood's #1 glamour couple as a beaten down alcoholic couple of academics who spend the evening in a drunken revel with two newbies. And the whole thing, and it doesn't necessarily pass the time as much as we'd like it to today, was a real showcase at the time of how negative traits within a person can be pushed forward and can impact others. And even that, the negativity of their relationship is their positive. Look at a movie like Barbie. In Barbie, we have a character who's actually in conflict with everything. She's in conflict with her environment, the environment that's perfectly set up where she's a star. Then she has a conflict with the personality, who's Ken, who is a go along, get along type guy who just wants to love her for what she is and what she represents. And during the course of the movie, she finds herself in conflict with other people, people from the real world, people from her own world who are outsiders. And finally, Ken, when left to his own devices without Barbie's civilizing instincts, goes a little bit buck wild and becomes someone she doesn't like anymore. But then his conflict is that that's not his real self either. And that brings us to the final type of character conflict. It isn't the only one. These aren't the only ones, but these are the easiest ones if you're having trouble. Kind of isolate where your character's trouble comes from. The final is characters who are in conflict with themselves. When a character is in conflict with themselves, it's usually one of several things. For example, in Rocky, what is the main thing that is driving Rocky Balboa? It's that his internal conflict is he considers himself a bum. And this is an opportunity for him to become better. Look at the large number of movies with people who are battling alcoholism or drug addiction or obsessive compulsive disorder or any number of those. They are fighting with themselves. In the original version of The Lost Weekend, which won a 1945 Best Picture, right after World War II, by the way, it was a really serious movie. And you see Ray Milland in the official version having a happy ending. Well, in the original novel, as well as in the alternative cut of the end, we see him once again coming under the influence of the alcohol. In Leaving Las Vegas, arguably Nicolas Cage's most impressive performance, but also the one that kind of derailed his career because he went from being a kind of an eccentric performer that we loved into someone who was kind of a serious actor who would show overly dark sides of the human psyche. He just would take it to another level, which is one of the reasons why he's reduced now to doing lots of movies where he's glorified set dressing. It's sad, but he still delivers the goods. Trust me on that one. So those are three of the main kinds of conflicts we have. And I think one of the challenges that's facing current Hollywood today is a lot of times this character conflict with themselves is ignored. One of the problems with the tentpole mentality in the Marvel universe is that characters are never in conflict with who they are. Yes, in Avengers Endgame, we see some people making choices, but were they ever really in existential conflict over their internals, not their externals, their internals? Not really. We see a movie like Oppenheimer where he is in conflict with his interior and exteriors. But again, that was an anomalous movie. That's why it and Barbie together were considered almost a joke, but then people were, I believe, subconsciously bonding with the similarities between those two movies about people who realize they're not who they thought they were, and they're having to kind of battle it. Part of the incredible success of Inside Out is that's the ultimate version of exploring the inner demons who work on you, and how do you battle them? How do you sometimes lose to them? How do you sometimes figure out how to use them to ultimately win?
Glad to have her on our team.